Let's move on to the fourth plague that only affects the Egyptians. Exodus 8, verse 20. And the Lord said to Moses, Rise early in the morning and stand before Pharaoh as he comes out to the water. Then say to him, Thus says the Lord, Let my people go, that they may serve me. Or else, if you will not let my people go, behold, I will send a swarm of flies on you and your servants, on your people, and into your houses. The house of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground on which they stand. And in that day I will set apart the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarms of flies shall be there, in order that you may know that I am the Lord in the midst of the land. I will make a difference between my people and your people. Tomorrow this sign shall be, and the Lord did so. Thick swarms of flies came into the house of Pharaoh, into his servants' houses, and into all the land of Egypt. The land was corrupted because of the swarms of flies. No sacrifice to your God in the land. And Moses said, It is not right to do so, for we would be sacrificing the abomination of the Egyptians to the Lord our God. If we sacrifice the abomination of the Egyptians before their eyes, then will they not stone us? We will go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to the Lord our God as he will command us. And Pharaoh said, I will let you go, that you may sacrifice to the Lord your God in the wilderness, only you shall not go very far away. Intercede for me. Then Moses said, Indeed, I am going out from you, and I will entreat the Lord, that the swarm of flies may depart tomorrow from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. But let Pharaoh not deal deceitfully any more in not letting the people go to sacrifice to the Lord. So Moses went out from Pharaoh and entreated the Lord, and the Lord did according to the word of Moses. He removed the swarm of flies from Pharaoh, from his servants, and from his people. Not one remained, but Pharaoh hardened his heart at this time also, neither would he let the people go. Like the first plague, Moses meets Pharaoh early in the morning when he comes out to the water, and he warns him to let his people go, or he will unleash this next plague. As you would expect, the Pharaoh didn't let them go. As Moses said, this plague, it wreaked havoc on the Egyptians only. However, it didn't do anything to God's people in Goshen, which should have offered powerful proof that God was in control of this. We also learn about these insects and how they devoured or fed upon them according to Psalm 78, verse 45. Again, this is another time when we don't know what this pest was for sure. Several translations call it flies. Some believe that it refers to a scarab beetle or a dung beetle. So we don't know for sure, but what we do know is that the Egyptians worshipped beetles. Others think that, it meant that it was a mix of insects. It was different kinds. Whatever kind of insect it was another devastating plague. It was bad enough that the Pharaoh was ready to negotiate. First, he's willing to let Moses and God's people sacrifice, but he wants them to do it in his land. And as Moses points out, that's not going to work out because the other Egyptians would not like the kind of animals that we're sacrificing, and that'd probably make some of them so mad that we're sacrificing what they consider sacred that they would probably stone them. Second, the Pharaoh decides he will let them go to the wilderness, but he doesn't want them to go very far. However, the Pharaoh's word meant absolutely nothing, because as soon as Moses sent this plague away, the Pharaoh hardened his heart again and would not let them go. We have two Egyptian gods that could be associated with this plague. Since this plague was a swarm that came through the air, it is believed this shows God's power over the god Shu, which is a god of the air, sunlight, and dry air. Shu was portrayed in human form with the hieroglyphic of his name as an ostrich feather also being on his head, and he was often represented separating Geb and Nut, that's some more Egyptian gods, supported them by lifting his arms up on the body of Nut arched over top of him. So this god could not keep the swarm from passing through the air and attacking only the Egyptians. He was about as effective as when we see a fly and we say, "Shoo fly, shoo." The next Egyptian god only makes sense if this was a swarm of beetles or perhaps included beetles. Khepri was often depicted with a beetle head because of the beetle's ability to seemingly transform itself from a lifeless larva into a living beetle. This was seen as a metaphor for the cycle of life death, and rebirth. And Khepri was seen as the god who brought this cycle about. The scarab beetle was also associated with the sun, as it was believed to roll its eggs into the sun-warmed sand. This gave Khepri a close association with the sun and its transformative